Our story begins with the stylized main menu that, along with the theme, are burned into my brain. So replaying this game in 2022, I'm transported back to my childhood.
You sitting there and tell me, you have everything for you to do and
Oh,
sit
no.
there and tell me I'm not good enough for you.
The opening exposition brief informs us we're in Washington, D.C., responding to a terrorist attack in the D.C. subway system regarding a viral agent. And our targets are Romer, Kravich, Aramov, and Gurdu. Okay, so Syphon Filter's story is a bit complicated, but I'll do my best. You're Gabe Logan, and your partner is Leon Zing. You work for a secret government agency named the Agency. Wow. You've been investigating a series of biological attacks by the international terrorist group Black Baton, which is led by a guy named Romer. You and your partner Leon go to Costa Rica after another agent goes cold because he was sent to investigate a biological attack, and you're pretty sure Black Baton was behind it. These are drug operations being used as covers to ship around chemicals related to this new, scary virus, Syphon Filter. And now there's an in-progress attack on DC, specifically the subway system. The FBI and Interpol both have intel claiming it's Black Baton, who now want to release the virus which will spread 100 miles wide in DC. So both Leon and you are going in order to stop and or minimize it. Did you get all that? It's not overly complicated when you look back on it, but the game doesn't do a great job of presenting itself to the player. If you wanted to read a Tom Clancy novel, you'd be doing that, not playing Syphon Filter. There are brief text expositions that give you important information before every level as well as a cutscene. Those together do a pretty good job of keeping the player up to speed with the plot, and if you don't care, they're easily ignored and skipped. The music also never cuts out from exposition text, cutscene to gameplay. It's so beautifully seamless. The tense spy soundtrack, crisp voice acting, and punchy sound effects all make for a retro PlayStation experience. Someone who knows more about audio than me needs to do a breakdown on this game's sound and music. The first level, especially the opening, is so gosh dang iconic, and I love everything about it. Right away we're into the action. The music is bumpin', and we're fighting alongside AI allies. How cool is that? I always thought AI buddies in games was so cool as a kid. And did you see that police car? So these guys in the yellow hazmat suits are the CBDC, the US Army Chemical and Biological Defense Command. They're actually pretty competent. They're even better shots than Black Baton. The first part is also a great tutorial for the gameplay. You're at risk of dying, which makes it exciting, but not so much that it's difficult or that you can't take a minute to get your bearings. And this is where Syphon Filter shows you it's like nothing else. Obviously it's a third-person shooter, but to aim, you hold R1 to lock onto a nearby enemy, then press square to shoot. When locked on, a target bar will appear top left. Once it's high or full, you will land more of your shots. What affects this accuracy is Logan's position relative to the target, his stance, such as crouching or running, and any obstacles between him and the target. What's even more interesting is this isn't unique to you. All the enemies function the same way. An enemy aiming at you will create a danger bar, and the exact same rules apply. Once it's full, their shots will start landing and you can't take too many hits before dying. You can take cover of course, but rolling is also a decent way to lower this bar or keep it from peaking. I've never played a game like this since. Maybe there are people who hated it, but I super respect how unique it is. John Garvin, creative director for IDEC, now Ben Studios, wrote for a PlayStation blog in 2012 that Syphon Filter was almost cancelled several times. The only concrete aspects of the game were that they wanted the player to feel like a super spy, and the title, Syphon Filter. Garvin was asked, how close to your original concept was the final game? To which he replies, Syphon Filter just wasn't developed that way. The original concept of the player becoming a super spy was adhered to pretty closely, but everything else was worked out as we developed. I don't think I'm out of line to infer that the gameplay mechanics of this game can largely be attributed to all these rewrites. It's kind of crazy the game turned out to be as good as it is considering they were shuffling around level order just weeks before the game was shipped. I can't say I've played a game that plays like Syphon Filter since. It's so weird, but it works. It's almost its own genre because of the aiming and combat system. Oh, and you can also manually aim by entering a first-person mode, but you can't move while doing so, so it's a dangerous trade-off. If you're fast enough, it's a good way to land headshots. These guys at the start will keep coming, so while it's a good place to get our feet wet, don't stay here too long. It's tough for Zoomers to remember, but games having endlessly respawning enemies was fairly common just a few decades ago. Though this is the perfect place to indulge in Syphon Filter's most famous feature, this taser. For some hilarious reason, you have this ridiculously long-range taser to zap guys with until they begin to smoke and eventually burst into flames. There's so much detail put into this. There's a cinematic camera, unique voice lines, and animations. If you ask a Syphon Filter fan what they remember of the game, they'll likely mention the taser first. Is it a particularly effective weapon? I mean, it locks the enemy in place, but otherwise no, since it does the same to you. You can still take damage while using it. Also, if an enemy has body armor, it straight up won't work. Unless you tase them in the head, which, Jesus Christ, Gabe, you're supposed to be the good guy. This first level has a few places we have to go, as we have a few different objectives. Eliminate Kravich, destroy a communication array, eliminate Roamer, and not listed, but defuse any dirty bombs we find. As you run around many of the levels, you can get codec calls MGS style. They'll give you additional objectives or relevant information.
Gabe, this must be where the subway security bypass switch is located. Find it and shut it off.
Copy. See if you can find a copy of the subway system's security protocols.
This does a superb job of making you feel like you really are in a race against time, fighting a constantly changing situation and having to adapt as you go. You know, spy shit. First we run into an empty bank and assist the CBDC in disarming a bomb. Also, you'll need to keep an eye out for pitch black rooms. There are often crates containing special equipment and weapons in them. Grenade launchers, flak jackets, etc. You can use your flashlight, which is a really neat mechanic. It's sad to say, but I'm impressed when games actually have the balls to play with light meaningfully. Looking at you, Dark Souls 2, I'm still mad. After, right at the start of the level, if you run through the glass door of this bar like a psycho, you'll get another call from Leon. Kravich is the first time you'll encounter an armored enemy, which we'll see periodically throughout the game. You can just unload into them, but it's a far better idea to go for headshots. There are also armor-piercing weapons we'll acquire in future levels, but we'll get to that later. I also want to point out destructible light sources in this game. I want to go back when environments were interactable. So with Kravich and the communications array eliminated, it's time to head into the subway. But before we can do that, we need to unlock the subway gate. To do that, we'll go down this sketchy back alley maintenance elevator, where we receive yet another call from Leon. Please stop calling. We also use our flashlight again, and find the switch for the subway entrance. With that settled, let's make our way back, but not before grabbing the hidden grenade launcher. You just gotta shimmy across this pipe, but when you do, you'll be attacked by some terrorists. Another neat feature, you can fire one-handed weapons while dangling like this, but you can't reload. Back at the start, down the ramp, and another hidden crate. It's just got armor, which we don't need though. This is a good time to briefly explain the health system. You have armor, which you replenish via picking up flak jackets either via crates or from killing enemies wearing them. If you run into an enemy wearing one, which is only signified by aiming at them and seeing the text denoting such, then you must kill them with a headshot. If you just shoot them in the chest until they're dead, you'll ruin the armor. It makes sense, right? Once your armor runs out, you'll be down to your health, and you can only take a couple shots at that point. It's a simple but effective system, and I like the added touches of killing an enemy for their armor. The game is generally pretty generous with flak jacket crates though. The difficulty feels just right. You'll die a few times and have to use your brain sometimes, but overall it's nothing impenetrable. Down in the subway, the trains are still running for some reason, so watch out for those. We'll use our pump shotgun for easy kills.
Pump it.
Sometimes the AI can be a little off.
Gabe, what's happening?
I'm setting a beacon. Wait. Leon, this one's different from the others. It has a shorter timer, and it
Gabe,
looks...
that's not viral. It's...
Too late!
With the subway destroyed, we have to be cautious around the fire. It's instant death. Take it from this man. It's a bit of a maze down here. You need to find and use explosives to clear a path for the CBDC so that they can defuse one of the viral bombs. Leon also finds out that the terrorists are making their way through the tunnels to the nearby park. After finding explosives and letting in the bomb squad, and by squad I mean a single guy, we gotta defend them. We receive intel that Roamer has fled DC and our fellow agents are facing heavy resistance in Washington Park. While making our way through the subway tunnels, we run into Mara Aramov, a notorious international assassin. You know, spy shit. You gotta defeat her while swapping between the two subway tracks, dodging trains and taking out enemies. She has a flak jacket, but I have plenty of ammo.
Where's Roamer? Where are the other bombs?
You're too late, Logan.
We'll see. Leon, I'm on my way to the park. Roamer is going to trigger the main viral device whether or not the government meets his demands.
I'm already on it.
The smaller viral bombs are hidden throughout the park. Benton, what's going on?
CBDC's getting slaughtered. We need you to track down the viral devices and provide covering fire while CBDC agents come in and disarm them.
Copy that. I'll give them cover as long as I can. Okay, let's do it.
I'm assuming the devs couldn't get the lighting on this level quite right, so they went with green, giving it a pseudo night vision look. There are 4 more bombs to defuse here. Pro tip, elevation is your friend. Get up high if you can, and Gabe's auto aim will do the rest. We get a few new toys in this level too, including a night vision sniper that's trash, and an M1911, which is not. It has a slow rate of fire, but kills unarmored enemies in like 1 or 2 hits. Further ahead, and we have a hostage situation to contend with. 2 Black Baton members have 2 CBDC agents at gunpoint. We go slow and take them out with some poorly placed headshots. A nice little quality of life mechanic this game does is it lets you know via text on your reticle whether you'll land a headshot or not. We find a communications array to destroy on top of a statue I like to call the best the PlayStation 1 could do.
Leon, connection's complete.
I'm tracking a mobile signal just north of you, towards the Freedom Memorial in the hedge maze area.
Check Romer's file and see who he's been using as triggerman. I'll bet these bombs are set with a backup mobile detonator.
Got it. Jorge Marcos. I'm downloading his dossier into your comm device.
Add him to my hit list.
Goddamn, Gabe. And lucky for us, our target is right around the corner. He's armored, but he isn't a match for our newly acquired M16. We find the memorial guarded by armored terrorists, and inside, the most French man to have ever lived.
Die for him.
Gabriel Logan, always the optimist.
His only weak point is the small tank on his back. You have to break his line of sight, and then he'll begin patrolling around the central statue. This allows you to get shots off on his weak point. But while doing this, he'll spray flames around. You don't have to get totally behind him as long as you have a shot, so it's not too difficult. Fun fact about this level, the level itself was created over the weekend by the creative director I quoted earlier. Originally it was meant to take place in a car junkyard, but would have taken too much time and money to make. I hope we read him his Miranda rights. Next level is New York City in the Expo Center. We suspect a mole, another agent named Benton. Romer's men knew our movements ahead of time, leading to the death of Agent Jenkins. Which I mean, come on, your name's Jenkins, of course you're dying. So the agency gives us the go-ahead to plant a wire on the CEO of a massive pharmaceutical company linked to Romer's operations. We're looking for a solid link between the two, as well as any information pertaining to whether Benton's actually a mole or not. This is one of the few times where stealth is mandatory. We have a silenced pistol to use against guards, but we can only use it via headshots or its mission failed. The name of the game here is Taking It Slow, and doing some very light patrol pattern memorization. Failing the mission only sets you back about 2 minutes or so. But even better, we're using an emulator. God bless save states. Every game should have quick saving.
What are you doing here? You were never to come here.
Plans have changed.
Get out, both of you. We'll settle
As
this
of
later.
this moment, we no longer work for you. We want the location of the Syphon Filter lab.
Leon, I found the agency's lead.
You are.
Benton.
Where's
Benton,
Roma?
that son of a...
Get out, both of you. We'll settle this later.
Shut up. He's been bugged. Quickly, get him out of here.
Gabe, Bacon's run for it. Romer and Aramov went after him, but Benton's still in there waiting for him.
He's finished.
With Benton dead, it's okay to go loud. Look at the size of these vents! The Expo Center has Egyptian stuff, Mayan stuff, space stuff, but the layout of it super turns me off. You need to find keycards, unlock doors, it ain't for me. I get turned around easily, so I spent way too long here. But there is one cool part where you have to roll under a gate before it closes. You know, spy shit. We also get the G18 in this level. This submachine gun sounds great and punches straight through armor. So we'll use the ammo sparingly. Aside from rolling under the closing gate, there's a few other parts of this level that require cleverness to progress. When you find the American Space Shuttle room, there will be an elevator that only seems to go up 2 floors, despite a third being clearly visible. Well, if you look up, you'll notice a sparking control panel. Stand on the elevator, then shoot the panel to get it to take you to the 3rd floor. This will bring you to another part of the Mayan exhibit where you can pick up a keycard needed to progress. It'll be found on the body of a guy you shot when you first entered this room. Now that we have the keycard, we head back to the moon landing exhibit, climb the ladder, then use it to reach the rafter above. The rafter leads us to the security room, completing the level. Men in black storm the security room and try to kill us. As you can see, the game's combat often does have a sort of floatiness to it. You have to stay moving to keep the target meter down, which results in you bumping Gabe up against walls and, if you're unlucky, falling off ledges. It's like a cover shooter, but less sensible. We improvise by climbing an overhead pipe and drop down into the lobby in a very unspy-like fashion. Like the lights, balloons are breakable. Neat. We head deep into the dinosaur exhibit until we run into Mara Aramov interrogating Fagin with some pretty terrible voice acting.
I can't tell you. Don't kill me.
You have to the count of 10 to tell me.
Somehow, tasing her brain is non-lethal. Unfortunately, we lose Fagin as more security enters the room, but we got Mara Aramov unconscious and take her into custody. The part I don't get is, remember when we subdued her in the subway by emptying like 3 magazines into her? Why'd we just leave her there for pickup? I get we had to keep moving at the time due to the attack in the park, and we probably don't carry zip ties, but Logan doesn't carry anything to knock someone out for a longer period of time? Like a chemical or something? This feels like something a spy would carry, no? Yes, killing an unconscious person isn't good memes. We can all agree on that. But also, she's an international assassin working with terrorists, and we caught her in the act of trying to gas a 100-mile area spreading from the American capital. Like, bruh, come on, do something more than just leaving her. With Aramov in custody, being kindly asked some questions, we discover roamers operating out of an old Soviet base in Kazakhstan, which means we're going Fifth Freedom. The US government can't let Kazakhstan know, and they presumably can't trust them to deal with Romer and his base, so it's up to us. Our objectives are to plant C4 charges on 5 fuel tanks, kill the base commander, Gobrak, and infiltrate the missile bunker so we can tag the missiles inside and grab their launch codes. This is the second stealth mission. Unlike the first, it's not mandatory, but if you do spring an alarm, enemies will constantly come for you. Let's just go as far as we can, as quietly as we can. Again, that means light patrol route memorization and carefully placed headshots. These floodlights will also automatically raise an alarm if they spot you, though they can be shot out. The base's layout wouldn't normally be too confusing, but the heavy snow, low draw distance, and samey environment can cause you to be turned around here and there. We're on the lookout for these gas tanks. We find 3 early on, as well as some gas grenades that'll come in handy in a minute. Heading further into the base, we come across Gobrak followed closely by 2 bodyguards. The gas grenades are instant kills and have an area of effect. They're invaluable in this game, and this is a great example of that. We use them to take out all 3 men without raising the alarm. We also pick up a keycard off his corpse and tag the last fuel tank. Now we just need to head into the missile bunker. There's a gate we open by using the keycard, kill a few more guards, and make our way underground, all without raising the alarm. Inside, we still need to tag the missiles, then make our way to the roof. The opening briefing informs us that a silent alarm was triggered by us entering the bunker. It seems the designers needed the next level to be in an alarm state regardless of your actions in the previous level. I haven't talked about it yet, but changing outfits depending on the level is a great touch. I just love when games do that. Makes them feel more dynamic. And I like playing dress up in games. Sue me. No character customization, but it would be a bit ridiculous to have him wearing his DC clothes in Siberia. The bunker is on high alert, so no need to take it slow. There are red tripwire lasers that can be disabled by shooting the corresponding control panel. We navigate the lasers while dealing with the enemies and tagging the missiles. Leon informs us that enemies are approaching her position as she's waiting outside the base for us. Speaking of neat touches, I also love how shooting enemies creates bloodstains depending on where you shoot. That's something I wouldn't see again until Metal Gear Solid 2 on the PS2. We get the final missiles and head to the roof via a freight elevator. Disabling the radar on the roof, we call Leon for pickup. An American spy fighting a Russian attack helicopter on top of a military base's tower in the far north. Okay, so it does kind of remind me of Metal Gear Solid, but just a little bit. This boss battle has 2 phases. The first, the heli will hit you with strafe runs. It's important to take cover as he approaches, then fire back as he's leaving. Their guns will tear you apart. There's respawning ammo on the sides of the roof so you can't run dry. Damage him enough and the second phase begins. Enemy soldiers will start spawning 2 at a time. Take them out and the helicopter will hover above you for a bit to fire. After he's done, you can get shots off as he leaves. Keep this up and we got it.
Markinson, Leon's been killed. I need that chopper evac now. In 10 minutes, this place is gonna be a crater.
Fight your way to the main gate. We'll pick you up there.
Get used to the generic alarm sound. We'll be hearing it a lot as we make our escape. There's a timer bottom left that counts down from 3 minutes before this place blows and its mission failed. No real strategy here. We just have to backtrack the way we came in while killing the occasional enemy. The exit is blocked by 2 guys with flak jackets, and the OST briefly switches to the game's main theme, which is pretty sweet.
My God, Syphon Filter.
I don't know how Mara Aramov keeps escaping, but she's done it again. We've tracked her to a cathedral in Ukraine that's also Romer's stronghold. It also contains a lab where they're testing and producing Syphon Filter, a bioweapon that can be designed to target very specific people based on their genetics. Okay, so the Metal Gear comparisons are making more sense as I play. The gameplay, though, is still nothing alike. Anyway, we're heading in to shut it down. Markinson, our direct superior and head of the agency himself, is flying us in. We have a few shots of an experimental vaccine and are ordered to administer it to anyone we come across. I guess it's to keep a low profile, but the guards are all wearing religious robes, which I find pretty funny. You can also shoot the massive chandeliers that, for some reason, burst into flames as they come crashing down. Inside, the cathedral is full of medical scientists, doctors I guess, and test patients. We need to find 6 to complete the objective, as well as kill all the doctors we come across, which feels, kinda bad. I mean, I get it, but they don't even have weapons. I'm having the line flashbacks. Do you feel like a hero yet? This level has a striking and distinct look, but it is very samey the more time you spend in it, which makes it easy to get turned around. Did we already go down this hallway? I don't remember. Behind some of the stained glass windows are other rooms, so be sure to shoot them out when you see them. Taking an elevator to head deeper in, we find out that they're shipping test subject bodies around the world in order to transport and test the virus. Now the scientists are fighting back and I wish I didn't say anything. I don't feel bad anymore, screw these guys. But why? Surely there was another way to get outside. Pretty sunset though. There's also some neat churchy paintings during this part of the level. And another annoying stealth section. It's not too bad though, as all we have to do is slowly follow the scientist. I don't understand why he's walking when he knows we're here though. You'd think he'd have a sense of urgency.
Please, don't kill me.
Just relax. This won't hurt a bit.
I'll pay you. How much do you want? Thank God.
Shut up, Fagan. Move. I have him.
Give him 30 seconds to give you the location of the computers, then eliminate
No,
him.
wait a minute. You don't understand. You
Thousands
don't...
of people are dead, Fagan, because of you. 20 seconds.
Wait, you don't understand.
Time's up. Where are the sequencing computers?
An abandoned Soviet missile silo in Kazakhstan, beneath an old warehouse district, all right? All right?
Did you copy that?
Copy. I've got a strike force ready to move in. Get to the evac point. I'm sending in a retrieval unit.
What about Fagan?
Take him with you.
Let's go.
Wait, let me go. Your partner, she's alive.
Leon? You're lying. Move.
She is alive. Romer's men brought her here 5 days ago.
I don't believe you.
Promise to let me go, and I'll lead you to her.
Show me.
The good old days when games had escort missions really takes me back. Fagan's not too hard to defend, as the enemies prioritize Gabe. He also leads the way, as this place actually is a maze. It's in Ukraine, but it's clearly inspired by Paris catacombs, especially with the skulls in addition to the maze-like tunnels. Fagan turns out not to be lying and leads us to our partner Leon, who we thought was dead. So we fulfill our end of the deal and allow him to escape. Leon's a much better escortee, as she's super willing to fuck these guys up. Lots of them have flak jackets, so it's good to go for headshots when you can. Okay, so maybe I was a little off base about the Metal Gear comparisons. I stand by it's a completely different experience, but replaying this game as an adult, I can see why some people would compare the two. The viruses are extremely similar. They're both spy thrillers, fighting a Russian attack helicopter on top of a snowy tower in the north, etc, etc. I just want to kill Mara because of her terrible voice actor. It's so bad.
They're all the same in the end.
Mara.
We don't have much time. If you don't stop them, we will all die. Come on, I have a chopper.
What accent is this supposed to be? I know voice acting could be rough in the 90s, but was that really the best take you had? My own whining aside, it's time for a level that was way ahead of its time. You know how everyone thought it was cool AI characters would fight each other in Halo? The Marines, Flood, and Covenant would all fight regardless of the player's actions. That was awesome, right? Well, Syphon Filter did it first during this level way back in '99. I'm sure another game did it earlier, but seeing it in an action game was so cool as a kid. Little Zoomer me thought it was like being in the middle of a battle. Playing it again as an adult, you can see how formulaic it is. The AI isn't exactly fear, but it's still super cool. The strategy is to not aggro these guys. We have to make several trips around this general area, so it's somewhat of an endurance run. It's like open world, but very, very small. Maybe 2 city blocks, which was pretty impressive back in '99. Romer's men are fighting Fagans in a battle over Syphon Filter. Below these warehouses in Kazakhstan are computer servers that hold the Syphon Filter data, as well as missile silos. Fagan, as a reminder, is the head of Farcom, a massive pharmaceutical company that has been working with Romer in order to develop Syphon Filter. But now they're killing each other over the virus thanks in part to our own efforts. They know the US government is after them, and all hell's let loose as 3 factions vie for control. Mara tells us the only way into the silo and computer servers is via a specific warehouse here, but it requires a code. A Farmcom suit by the name of Erickson has said code, so we need to find him and then make our way into Warehouse 76. While doing this, we also need to tag the bodies carrying Syphon Filter. Why the Kazakhstan government isn't here, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe we, the US government, can't trust Russia and Kazakhstan to deal with it.
What do you want?
I'll ask the questions. I need the access codes to the silo mainframes. Now.
But I don't know.
I'm going to count to 3, then I pull the trigger.
But look,
1,
I don't know the codes.
2.
All right. Here it is. Please.
Stay here. If you move a muscle before I return, I'll take you out myself.
Are you sure, Gabe? We don't have a great track record of making people stay put. He's not a priority, so it's whatever. There's a sweet Bizon in this warehouse here, so don't miss it. The Bizon is such a great meme gun. The ammunition is held in a round tube that attaches to the barrel. It's so dumb looking that it wraps around to being cool. But what if instead of a magazine, it was like, you know, cinnamon rolls, how they come in those aluminum tubes? Yeah. Now that we have our cinnamon roll gun and the access codes, it's time to find our bodies. They're strewn about, so you gotta use the special dead body finder scope we only have for this level. It's a bit time consuming, so honestly, I'd just use a guide to speed up the process. You use the scope to see bodies through solid objects, but you have to be fairly close. Do this while also avoiding all the enemies, since remember, we're in a war zone. Then the entire area explodes as a guy throwing grenades at you hits some fuel tanks. I guess tagging the bodies was a waste of time, considering they're all about to be charcoal. This is one of the few times the game does a fixed camera angle, but it's neat. We could fight these guys in honorable combat, but let's just use the grenade launcher because fuck them. You're not getting me with that trick a second time, Syphon Filter. Leon contacts us to tell us that she's lost all contact with Command, aka the agency. Gabe tells her to keep trying, and if she does make contact, to inform them of the situation as we head into the underground facility. I love how crisp this game looks. It looks great, but we didn't get to see that back in '99 thanks to those curved juggernauts known as CRTs. I'm still not entirely sure why liberals want to teach about them in school and why conservatives are against it. Maybe they hate scan lines or something. We need to shut the power down in order to bypass the laser. You know it's a spy game because lasers. Do they actually use laser security in buildings? Is that a thing? As a kid, I was led to believe every important building was protected by red lasers, and quicksand would be more of an issue in my daily life. Ironically, there's no power to an elevator we need to use, so we need to switch power by finding a different power relay so we can go to the main power relay thingy and turn off all the power, and I'm just very confused by all this, and I don't know what's going on. Someone help me. Also, everyone down here has flak jackets, and I don't like it. We flip the switch, use the elevator, kill these goobers, and overload the generator? Wait, why don't we have much of a choice? There's not just a switch or button to turn off the power? Really? It's very difficult to see now what with no lights, and no power, and no powered lights, but enemies can see us just fine somehow. They're not aware of your presence initially, so you can be careful and get some headshots before they see you. There's no timer on screen, but you have to get through this part in a minute or two, or it auto fails and Gabe becomes extra crispy. We climb up to the missile and grab the codes.
Markinson.
Of course I knew you would solve the puzzle eventually. I expect only the best from my men. Where is Romer?
You're asking me? How long has Romer been working for you, Markinson?
Since your mission to Costa Rica. When you discovered the connection between Romer's plantation and Fagan, I did some digging of my own through our monitor at the WHO.
And decided that you wanted the virus for yourself.
For the agency, actually.
And the missile?
The missile was my idea. Markinson came here to stop it, but he was too late, as are you.
Who's the target, Romer?
Does it matter?
Or just let him walk away, that's cool too. The missile's taking off and we have 5 seconds to roll under the closing hatch door. Leon informs us that NATO is tracking the missile and World War III is about to kick off unless we can stop the missile and save the world. Which of course we can, because we're Gabe Nevermind. Okay, that's awkward. One of these scientists have a keycard we need, which leads down into the missile control room. We have 30 seconds to find the specific controls needed to blow up the missile, but I got stuck on a wall and died, giving me this pretty amusing glitch. It's the only one I've experienced in this entire game, so let's try that again. I know where the switch is this time, so it's just a matter of getting to it without dying.
Leon, I made it. I'm triggering the missile's detonator now.
NATO spy sats are tracking it. There it goes. Thank God, Gabe, you've done it.
I'm downloading the virus information now. I'm ready for pickup.
Don't you know when to quit, Logan? We'd have made a great team.
I don't think so.
Don't you know when to quit, Logan?
Romer, what the heck? Spawn killing ain't cool. But the game couldn't end without a boss battle. The world may be saved, but Gabe is my world, and we need to help him defeat Romer. Pro tip, use gas grenades for an instant kill. And that's Syphon Filter, an enjoyable piece of PlayStation history. It looks nice, plays fine so long as you can tolerate its unorthodox aiming system, and has an engaging story. It does a great job making you feel like you're playing a spy movie, even if you're not completely following the plot. All the characters are surprisingly well written considering the game's writers were the game's designer and artist. This isn't Macbeth, but you do get a good sense of who these characters are, their motivations, and their relationships with one another. And hey, for a PlayStation game released in 1999, that's good enough for me. Also, game storylines being written by the same people who coded the thing is something I always enjoy learning about. Before the credits can roll, however, we get a final cutscene baiting a sequel, of which we'd get many. Syphon Filter 2 and 3 would also release on the PlayStation, and then Dark Mirror and Logan Shadow for the PSP and eventually ported to the PS2. But that's for another time. Thanks so much for watching, I'll see you guys next time.